Good afternoon. This is Montana Digital Academy's middle school program webinar, and I have the wrong date on the screen, but we're going to pretend that it's actually December 20th, 2021. My name is Jason Neifer, and I am the Assistant Director and Curriculum Director of Montana Digital Academy, although 2 weeks from now, I will be taking the role of the Executive Director at Montana Digital Academy. And joining me today, good afternoon, Mr. Agustinelli, our Instructional Program Director.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Jason, for having me.
Okay. Well, we're going to be brief today, but I want to tell you we're joining you from the beautiful Phyllis J. Washington College of Education building on the University of Montana campus here in beautiful Missoula, Montana, although this picture was from a very different season that's going on right now. We got about a half-foot of snow last night in Missoula, and I'm sure that winter has arrived wherever your corner of Big Sky Country is. But I do want to note to you that we are joining you today live from the University of Montana, but we're also recording everything. And again, my name is Jason Neifer, Mike is Mike, and we're going to try to do things very efficiently today. So to give you a sense of our agenda, first, we will have a brief introduction to the MTDA model. Second, we're going to talk a little bit about course availability for spring 2022 for our our field test of middle school programming. And last, we'll talk about both counseling of students before enrollment and setting up support systems in your local school. And again, I want to note that we very intentionally set this up to be a brief webinar today. We're going to be no longer than 20 minutes, especially since we know that many of you are not even in school today. So we appreciate you taking time today. We'll send a copy of this webinar when we're done today to everyone that pre-registered. We'll also send you some additional information about MTDA. But there is one piece of information we want to make sure that you get before we're done with our webinar today, and that is an action step that you can take right now that we recommend that every middle school and junior high program take across the state. Please email our support desk at support@montanadigitalacademy.org. And if you don't already have accounts in MTDA systems, now is the time to do that, because that means that if you have a last minute need for our programming, even if you don't intend to use it in spring 2022, that way you'll have enrollment accounts, which means there's no delay. We do have to enforce our enrollment deadlines firmly because of the nature of our program, and also our statistics about how late start students just aren't as successful as those that start on time with the program. And so if we can get accounts signed up right now so that you can get both announcements from MTDA and the ability to log in and enroll students in our program, that's going to save you some steps later. So an important action item, please contact support@montanadigitalacademy.org if you don't already have accounts associated with your junior high or middle schooling program, and we'd love to help you get started. So now, here we go in our programming today. First, we want to talk a little bit about Montana Digital Academy basics, and I want to give you kind of the 50,000-foot view of MTDA. Montana Digital Academy started in 2010. We were actually given an appropriation in the 2009 legislature, and 12 years ago, this January 1st, the program started with our now retiring executive director, Bob Curry. And we are what is called a state virtual school. It's a specific type of distance learning model. There's about 25 to 30, depending on how you define it, state virtual schools across the United States. MTDA happens to be a close partner with 18 of them through the Virtual Learning Leadership Alliance. But our program is not built to be a full-time school, but is a supplemental school. So we supplement, not supplant, services. And in fact, our board has made a specific policy calling for us to serve in that supplemental role. MTDA utilizes an online classroom system. We use something called Open LMS, which is based on the Moodle learning management system, which has been a really winning combination for MTDA. Of course, we do develop towards state standards and national standards where appropriate. We utilize only Montana public school teachers. And when I say that, I don't mean just Montana certified and Montana licensed teachers. We use only individuals that work for Montana public schools, which means of our 140 or so teachers that work with us in any given semester, they all work in some capacity in a Montana public school. Everything from part-time instructors through superintendents work for Montana Digital Academy as teachers. I would also like to note that we're built to serve through local schools. We don't take enrollments directly from students or their parents. You must roll in the Montana public school district in which you reside. And so it's important to remember that we are a partner with Montana Public Schools and not built to be an alternative or competitor to Montana Public Schools. Mike, why don't you talk a little bit about how MTDA courses look?
All right, sure. Thanks, Jason. So the Digital Academy courses, we always start by saying they're asynchronous in design. And what that means is that they are time shifted, right? So unlike Zoom-based classes where both the teacher and the student need to be online at the same time, all MTDA courses have all of the content and information for the students to complete through their week available to them on their time schedule. Our MTDA teachers that are employed through Montana Public Schools, they're actively teaching in the day. They work in a part-time capacity with the Digital Academy. And outside of their contract hours, then, they're grading, providing deep feedback to students on the assignments that they submit throughout the day. That asynchronous design allows us to really scale to all of the state's needs and student needs across the state. So there are, even though these are flexibly paced in design, we do have regular weekly expectations of the students. So the week starts off with the teacher making an announcement with a suggested schedule of activities for the week. Students can then set some flexibility within their week in which to accomplish those tasks, but there are due dates at the end of every week to keep students working together as a cohort through those classes. We design all of our courses around a variety of standards, one being the national standards for quality, as well as our own state standards to meet the appropriate rigor and design of both quality asynchronous online courses and good standards-based curriculum. They are designed to be at grade level. These are not remedial classes in design. They're designed for kids that are on grade level. And those type of students are the target audience for Digital Academy, even though if there are students outside that target audience with additional support from your local school, they can be successful in this environment as well. And the last piece is MTDA does run its own calendar, spring semester, fall semester, and summer semester. Those are defined on our website at montanadigitalacademy.org. And we ask that districts work within the MTDA schedule as we are trying to serve in any one semester over 200 different schools, different schedules throughout the year.
Great. Thanks, Mike. And I want to also note, sorry, I'm going to make a quick change here. We also want to note that as we announced earlier in 2021, per the authority in 20-7-1202, MTDA does cost share a portion, it's about a fourth of our overall cost to serve students in this way. We have a cost sharing statement on our website. The cost is $123. Our relationship is with you at the Montana Public School, and there's some information that you need to know about that cost sharing. And so if you are using us for the first time and need to talk through how this looks and how Montana State Code helps interpret this for schools, please contact us right away, and we are happy to help. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about our catalog for spring 2022. And you can get a copy of our catalog at our website. But these are the courses that we'll be offering spring 2022 as part of our MTDA field test. You'll note that we've put in 12 core courses: science, English language arts, social studies, and mathematics at the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level. We'll talk again in a moment a little bit about what that means in context of a student placement. We've also added a number of electives as well, things ranging from 2D art to exploring music. We anticipate that these programs could be used really in context of any distance learning need, whether you're trying to fill some elective slots for students that are going to your face-to-face program but want to take additional courses that you cannot offer or are complicated to offer because of scheduling purposes, or if you have a student that is choosing to remain distant from your school for whatever reason, COVID or otherwise, then it's an opportunity for that student to continue to receive high quality education backed by a Montana public school teacher. We do want to note, however, that for spring 2022, again, mindful of our role as a supplemental program, MTDA will offer schools the opportunity to enroll in up to 5 MTDA courses as part of our regular programming. In addition, we want to offer some guidance to you about counseling students before going into an online environment. This is one of the most important roles that MTDA believes schools need to step up to offer as part of your distance learning service delivery, because the bottom line is, and I think COVID showed this in some detail to schools across the United States, that some students really are better for the distance learning environment than others. Not that that distance learning is eliminated if a student's less ready, but there's some specific things you'll want to keep in mind as you're thinking about building support regimes around those students. So first, I want to tell you a little bit about MTDA's entrance counseling form. And again, we'll send you a copy of this link to all those that attend the webinar today. But we've developed a tool that's called our entrance counseling form that gives you very specific language on what you need to speak with both students and parents about before you enroll them in MTDA programming. Because the bottom line is that distance learning looks a lot different than a face-to-face environment. And chances are our distance learning program probably looks a little different than if you had emergency distance learning in past years as part of pandemic procedures. And we want to be really clear that every student and their parent understands what's expected of them before they enroll in an MTDA course. And what we've learned in our 12 years of delivering distance learning services is that some students understand that they'll need to be more independent and proactive learners in this environment, and other students don't. And speaking of, we have developed some expectations over time of the kinds of skills and skill sets that students need to have to be successful. Mike, why don't you go ahead and talk about that?
Sure, Jason. So first and foremost, as I mentioned, our teachers at the start of every week send their weekly announcements and set a kind of a suggested time schedule for the week. And that's to help all of our learners in a critical component of being a successful online learner. And that's that time management piece, right? Waiting to the last minute is never a good strategy, regardless of the type of learning environment you're in, but it's especially problematic in the online learning environment. Breaking down assignments into smaller chunks and working through the class day by day is a much better strategy for success. Reading comprehension is another big one. If your child or student is significantly behind in their reading level, then additional local school resources would need to be dedicated to that student for them to be successful in this environment. Additionally, those study skills that we're constantly teaching all of our students, it's no different in an online environment. Those strategies of, again, chunking and breaking information down, being able to recall and critical details is important. Independent learners, we talk a lot about in the online environment, and that's both independently motivated and independently able to both read and retain information in an independent nature. If that's beyond the scope of the child, they can still be successful in this environment. They just will need additional local support at your school. And again, our courses are designed to be at grade level. So if you have a student that's significantly behind grade level, that would be problematic in this environment. They would need additional support locally to be a successful candidate in this program.
And I want to highlight that for just a second. One of the ways you might want to work around this too is seeing MTDA as a course access model, because that's really what we are. We're a course access model and not designed to be a comprehensive solution in all cases. And so if you have a student, for example, that perhaps is in the 8th grade at your school, but they're reading and writing at 5th or 6th grade level, we would recommend that you consider the 6th grade English language arts class for that student. If they are significantly behind grade level or not able to navigate content on their own, again, as a course access model, we would strongly suggest that you consider what you're enrolling that student into before you move ahead. I would also note too that if you have specialized circumstances, a student on a specific 504 or IEP that has services available to them for whatever reason, and you want to talk through how that works in context of our external supplemental program, please just contact the support desk and we're happy to jump on a phone call and talk through individual instances with you. And our last major topic for the day is building support around students in the online environment. And we have a very useful tool that I wouldn't say we would recommend going through with every student, but can kind of help you get a sense of how to think about and how to build a framework in your school or district on how much support you may need to provide an online student. And this is our student online learning readiness assessment. It's available at our website. Again, I'll send a link to these materials after we're done today. But this is a useful way to think about if a student is more or less ready in an online environment. And it's set up to look at things like technology skill, time management skills, reading and writing skills, support services that students have traditionally used in the past. And if you look at individual student enrollments, you might be able to come up with a determination that they're less ready or more ready for the online environment. And another way to look at this, and maybe even the better way to look at this, is to say they're not less or more ready, but rather we need to provide more adult support, or you'll need to provide less adult support to be available. If a student really does need access to an adult during the entire school day to be successful, or they're not able to navigate things largely independently and don't have parent support at home during the day, then that's where you might want to think about if this environment really does require you set up more proactive adult support at your local school. And again, we built a lot of support around students in the program. Mike's going to talk about that more here in a moment. But the bottom line is that as a distance learning program that's built to be a supplement to your school, we do have a finite number of services we can offer in context of MTDA's core program.
So in our in the support model, this graphic illustrates all the adults involved to really make a successful learning experience for the student. I've already spoke a bit about the MTDA instructor. What they will do is provide timely feedback to both assignments and any questions students have over email about the content. In addition to that, our MTDA administrative team mans a technical help desk. So if there's technical issues that the student has, that's staffed 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. So students can get that technical support they need when they need it. Additionally, we are constantly communicating with the local school through weekly grade announcements and other timely announcements, so you stay connected to what's happening in the throughout the semester as the students enrolled in the program. And then other things that we suggest locally is just having a conversation weekly with a student that's enrolled in that MTDA course, right? That weekly grade report is a great conversation starter about how things are going. And that connection piece we found to the local school week by week helps make a big difference in the student understanding that really taking an MTDA course is not that different from a face-to-face course, because everyone's watching, everyone's communicating, and everyone's supporting that student to ultimately have success in their learning.
Great. Thanks, Mike. Okay, that is really the big picture of our presentation here. We want to make a couple quick reminders as we approach the 20-minute mark. First and foremost, if you don't already have accounts associated with your middle school or junior high school, please have an administrator or counselor contact our support desk, support@montanadigitalacademy.org, and our staff is eager to help you think about those adult accounts, who needs adult accounts, get those set up right away so that you're ready to go whenever you might have an enrollment in MTDA. But we'd also offer to any school administrator, counselor, teacher, supervising teacher, paraprofessional, anyone working in a Montana school across the state, if you want to talk about how to set up a meaningful support system for MTDA students in your school, or want to talk about individual student instances or examples, we are thrilled and eager to work with you to talk through those issues. And we have a variety of staff members that have a lot of experience delivering distance learning to students across the state. And we could not be more happy to sit down with you and your staff to talk through how this might look in your school building. And the best way to do that, support@montanadigitalacademy.org. And Mike, look at that. We are 10 seconds away from hitting 20 minutes, which means we have caught our stride. So thank you so much, folks, for coming to our webinar today. Again, my name is Jason Neiffer, and joining me today was Mike Agustinelli. I'm at Jason at MontanaDigitalAcademy.org. Mike is at Mike at MontanaDigitalAcademy.org. And we are absolutely thrilled to help you deliver great distance learning programming to students across the state. So we're going to stay on here for a couple of minutes. You'll notice that there's a chat window to the right of our YouTube presentation. If you're logged into some kind of YouTube account, you can ask questions there. So we'll stay on here for a couple minutes. Otherwise, we will email you a link to this webinar today so you can either review anything there or share it with other members of your team. Or if you prefer, simply email us directly or our support desk, and we're happy to assist. Thanks and happy holidays, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Marilyn. Okay, I think all are out there. Let's go ahead and shut this down. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, everyone.